Hello, everyone. If you want to make your onboarding process even better and truly understand how new employees are experiencing their first ones, this guide is for you. I'll show you how to create a survey, in this case, an onboarding survey. For example, let's say an employee has been in your company for 3 months and you want to check in on their experience so far. To do this, go to the survey section and create a new survey. Start by naming the survey in this example. I'll name it as Onboarding 90 Days, and then you can get started right away. You can begin with a short introduction about what this survey is expected to be. But keep in mind that the employees will always be reading this, and any insights on what is expected for them will be useful. Then you can start to formulate your questions. There are different options that you can use. So you can use the scale option, a single choice, multiple choices, open text, and an NPS, which again use once per survey. As an example, let's use an open text to ask employees about how they feel. So, what was your first impression about the company and your team? You can associate a theme to each question to then understand how you are progressing, and you compare each response and you can mark each question as required or not. In this case, let's make it optional. When needed, you can create new questions to the survey. Another example of a question you could ask would be, how would you rate your organization for your onboarding? And in this case, let's stick with the scale option. You can also decide on whether you'd like to allow comments or not so that employees can elaborate on their response. You can also adjust the labels used here and copy questions if needed. For now, let's proceed with these two exemplary questions. Once you've set up all the questions you were looking for, you can proceed and set up the participants. In this example, as this is an onboarding survey, we will be choosing the on-life cycle events. This means that the system will take into account the hired date, in this case, as we are looking into the onboarding process. If this was to be an exit interview, for example, you could also use the termination date of the date you're taking into account. You can then proceed and review the configuration. You can decide on the privacy settings being confidential or feasible, adjust the survey admins and grant different roles, set up a timeline and whether you'd like this to be a closed survey or not. In this case, as we want employees to continue working on this onboarding and have future new joiners accessing it too, we will keep it open and not specify a closed table. Due to this, no reminders will be set up. However, you can always copy the link and share it with participants. Once you click to start and launch the survey, you can review the settings and launch by default. As we have decided on a lifecycle event trigger, we will need to configure the workflow that will run behind. In this case, we can name it Onboarding 90 Days Survey as an example, and here you can see that the trigger will be relative to the date. So you will be adding the participants based on the hiring date, and in this case, it is set for 7 days, which is something that you can configure. So if you would like this to happen 10 days after or before the hire date, in this case, as it is post-onboarding, you can choose the after option and adjust it to 90 days, and then once this happens, meaning once you have a new joiner that has been at the company for more than 90 days, you can add them as a participant to a survey. In this case, you will see all the surveys that are applicable to lifecycle surveys. Choose the one we have just created and save and activate. The survey is now fully automated and you'll be able to track when it will be triggered. Alternatively, you can also choose a template and learn more about our science-based engagement insights. Within existing templates, we also have one for onboarding survey, which you can preview or use to start as an inspiration. You will notice that everything will be already set up for you and that you will have the autonomy to adjust questions, add new ones, and rephrase everything according to your preferences. On the side, you see our People Matter framework where you can easily toggle questions that you would like to include. By default, everything will be already marked with their respective themes: belonging and fairness, referral enablement, and in addition to these specific ones, you can also go to questions and see all the questions and enable the ones that could be a good fit for your onboarding survey or any other survey that you would wish to launch. All the remaining steps will be looking the same as we just covered, and with this, you can create and automate an onboarding follow-up survey in Personio.